Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jody After the Show podcast. And if you don't follow us on Facebook or Instagram, please do that. We would love to connect with you that way.
Hey, you know the Olympics starting tomorrow?
Yes!
Well, actually, I guess technically a couple of the events had already happened.
Started.
Yeah, so I want to know if you ever personally daydreamed about being in the Olympics, being a part of it, and what your sport was or would have been.
Who wants to go first?
I don't know that I ever daydreamed about being in the Olympics, but I thought pole vaulting was cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Seems a little dangerous for you,
Well,
Murph.
Snap and stick didn't scare you?
That does, and I've seen that happen before,
Yeah.
you know. But
The
no,
pole vault looks like something I would not attempt for $1 million.
yeah, I don't know why I thought that was cool as a kid, but I didn't have any, because I think I wasn't like overly athletic, so
Yeah.
I didn't have any personal aspirations of that. Why?
Well, do you want to
Jody?
answer why did I?
Yeah.
No. I daydreamed about a lot of things when I was a little girl, obviously. Never about being in the Olympics.
Really?
You know
I
why?
would have pictured you for wanting to do gymnastics or something.
Let me tell you something. I've always had this battle going on. You know, the angel and the devil on the shoulder thing?
Yeah.
I have all kinds of daydreams about all kinds of crazy things. We can get to those. But I loved to watch the Olympics when I was a kid with my dad. And when the Olympics air, one of my favorite parts of it is the storytelling that goes along with it. So let's just say an event's coming up. Gymnastics are coming up, floor. And then so they start to show you some of the stories, some of these beautiful news stories and mini little documentaries about who this person is and how they got there and how many hours in the gym. And so that there's more in it for you when you're watching them do the vault or whatever.
Right.
From the moment I started watching that kind of stuff, I let that all sink in, and I realized my family can't afford for me to do any sort of major sporting thing. There would be travel involved and childhood gone. Like, because how much I
If
don't.
you're in gymnastics, you live at the gym.
Right. So I had that little imaginative little girl, daydreaming about things, but there was also the reality going, you're not doing any of this.
Yeah.
Jody, get out there and get some eggs.
Right. We had a barn, and I used to go get the eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that honestly, that didn't cross my mind. We watched, well, my mother was seriously into gymnastics, which I guess we all are, right? It's pretty universal.
It's crazy.
In the Winter Olympics, ice skating, definitely.
Yes.
Track and field, weightlifting, that kind of thing. I mean, we watched all of those things.
But never daydreamed.
No, I never daydreamed.
I was a track and field, like I could not, back when the
Really?
Olympics, everything was the same year, the track and field was just, to me, it was just amazing that a person could run 100 meters in 9 seconds.
Yeah, it is. It is amazing.
Or at the time, I guess it was probably 10 seconds, and it's slowly been whittled away. And I'd always wonder, how far can they go? Is someone ever going to be able to run 100 meters in 7 seconds? And, probably not. But,
That's a really good, intellectual way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's what my childhood was. Anyway, the sport, I never tried out for it because the same thing as y'all. I wasn't that athletically inclined, financially and all that. I didn't think I'd ever go anywhere. But
the financial part is never anything I ever thought about.
I was athletic. I just was realistic.
I mean, I understand that that's a realistic part of it, but I never thought about the cost of.
There was so much talk about finances that my mom and dad. I was just very well aware of saving money my whole life.
For some reason, I got attracted to the high jump.
Oh.
And the high jump is the one where you run up to it on an angle. It's about 6-8 feet tall, and you jump up and do the Fosbury flop, over the back.
Oh yeah, over the
yes.
pole and don't knock the pole down.
Right. Now, some people don't do the flop. Some people still do the over. I don't know how they. I don't know. See, I don't know how it's done. And I would watch it and watch it and watch it.
And
I went in the
that's cool. You
backyard.
daydream.
I went in the backyard. I knew I couldn't hit 6 or 8 feet, so I took 2 just folding chairs.
Yeah.
And I put a broom across the top of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking 3 feet.
So cute.
And I would run up and jump over like a normal person would, almost like a hurdle.
Not on the back?
Yeah,
Oh.
because, I didn't
Hurdle is not easy either.
No. I mean, I didn't set up a mattress to do the flop and all that, and I was too afraid to flop into the grass.
Oh, yeah. Well,
that's a 3-foot fall. Woo-hoo!
Well, it is hard ground.
Yeah.
Right.
But I tried that. I used to try that.
And they didn't
all
have the big
time.
jumpy places when we were growing up where you could play and learn to fall into big cushions
You
and
had 2
sponges.
chairs, a broom, in the backyard.
I think that's
Needless
cute.
to say, I never got never mastered it and never went anywhere.
What you're describing is the beauty of childhood. That's your job as a child is to play. Take your imagination and try things out. That is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's lovely that you didn't just, and nothing wrong with today, but you went outside in your backyard and with 2 folding chairs and a broom, you pretended to do something fantastic instead of just playing a game or staring at a screen.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Miss those
I
days.
don't remember a time where there were only one set of Olympics. It hasn't always been winter and summer?
Yeah, it's been winter and summer, but they were always in the same year.
Oh,
I didn't realize that.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, this was probably about 20 years ago. It was always every 4 years, and it was winter and summer the same year, 2 different locations.
Right.
Yes.
And then at some point, I don't know if it was because there was a 4-year gap and people were lose interest, they decided, okay, we're going to do winter. Winter will still be every 4 years. Summer will still be every 4 years, but they'll be in the alternating every 2 years.
Okay.
So that way, every 2 years, you get Olympics instead of having to wait every 4 years.
And that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I guess training, it doesn't change anything because it's
No,
only
I
every
still
4
didn't make the
years,
team in high jump. So
I will say this. That's another thing that's awesome about it, I think, is that even if you're not athletically inclined or you think you're not interested in it, you should give a couple of things a try just to open your mind, because there's a lot of, and shout out to them, the commentators. It's their job to educate the public who's watching on what this training is like, why you're supposed to nail this in 2 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
Some of the gymnastics moves, they have these funny names, and before the gymnast will run up and do it or start to do their thing, you're learning about the difficulty level. And I just think that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're talking about, there will be someone who will be watching the Olympics this year and be inspired by that, and that person becomes
Try
iconic
something.
to them, and then they want to, because I do see that as turning into, if it's something you really want to try, you're probably all in at that point, whether it's gymnastics or whatever sport it is.
Oh, Simone Biles in her documentary talked about Dominique Dawes being like she had never seen a black girl do that. And Dominique was her inspiration. Right. And she was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Then I can see myself there.
Everybody, right, exactly. There's always, somebody, every athlete has somebody that they admired as a kid that really turned it into a real motivation for them to do it.
How many of those swimmers saw the Summer Olympics when they were a kid and decided to see how fast they could swim?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're right. I didn't think about that because I'm just thinking about my enjoyment of watching.
Right, yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, and we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see what you're hearing, too.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.